And we're going to honor and remember the legacy of one of our great Giant leaders, the late former Giants president and managing general partner, Peter Magowan. While it was our plan to originally gather here in February with Peter healthy enough to be present for this induction, he sadly passed away on January 27th after fighting a very courageous battle with cancer. And while there's not a day that does not go by at the Giants' home that we don't stop and think and miss Peter. There's also not a day that does not go by when we are reminded of how much he loved his boyhood team and his city. And he loved the fact that his baseball fans here in this town got what they truly deserved, a shrine, the best baseball ballpark in the world. It is. We know it is. And it would not be here without his vision and his passion. From the statues of all of our Hall of Famers to the team records painted on the old Dua Plaza wall to the commemorative plaques located along the port walk to the many quotes and pieces of baseball memorabilia and artwork found throughout the ballpark. This Giants Wall of Fame was very important to Peter to honor the team's history and tradition, and most importantly, to recognize the hundreds of former players who wore a Giants uniform. This ballpark is a museum, and for every one of us that got to play here, we are truly remembered. And it's through the efforts of Peter Magowan that you remember us through this yard.
It's important to note the criteria as to how you get up here. I've actually thought of maybe getting a Sharpie, and hasn't happened. And this was all established in 2008 with Peter. It was his idea. And he wanted to pay tribute to the team's greatest players. And the Wall of Fame recognizes those who have distinguished themselves on the basis of longevity and achievement. Honorees must have played for the Giants a minimum of 9 seasons, or 5 seasons with at least one all-star appearance in a Giants uniform. These were Peter's criteria. However, the Giants executive team deemed it important to expand the Wall of Fame to include other individuals who made extraordinary contributions to the franchise. And with the addition of Peter to the Wall of Fame, he becomes the first non-player to join the 52 other legends on this very wall, which he created. While we know Peter's spirit is with us today, there are also many of his family members that have joined us today to carry on his legacy. Welcome his wife, Debbie, his children, Hillary, Margot, and Matthew. They're here today. Welcome. As well as Kim and Kristen, who could not attend, and their spouses and children. Also here today, his brother, Merrill Magowan. Where's Merrill? Right there, Merrill. While Mike and I were standing over here, we had 2 former mayors that came up to us. And you want to talk about hot air? Oh, my goodness. Former mayors Art Agnos and Frank Jordan are here. Where are they? And sitting together, who would have thought? Go ahead.
It was great when Peter first was told that they wanted to put him on the wall. He said, will you write my speech? I said, yeah, absolutely. So I wrote a speech and I agonized over it, spent a lot of time. And then about a week later, I get this email from Peter and he goes, here's your speech for you. And he wrote the whole thing. But the one thing that he said, and he was adamant about, he goes, I don't want you to say that I built this ballpark. It was the work of a lot of people that got this ballpark done. He said that once, he said it 100 times. I totally believe that, kinda, but it was his vision. He got us started. I mean, we were in Tampa in 1993. First, before he built this ballpark, he saved the team. And us old players, we don't forget that. From his Giants family, joining us are the greatest of the Giants greats, our Hall of Famers, the Dominican dandy Juan Marichal, and the greatest all-round player that ever played the game, the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays. Giants President and CEO Larry Baer. Giants Chairman Rob Dean and his wife Trina. Executive Vice President Brian Sabian. President of Baseball Operations Farhan Zaidi. Former Giants General Manager Bobby Evans. Former Giants manager and now special assistant Felipe Alou. Members of the Giants executive management team, Mario Alioto, Jack Baer, Alfonso Felder, Bill Schlau, Lisa Pantages, and Stacy Slaughter. And Wall of Fame members, Chris Spire, Sean Estes, Barry Bonds, Ryan Vogelsong, and Tito Fuentes.
And our current manager for 2 more days, Bruce Bochy. And we would also like to say thank you for the current players that have come out to honor Peter Magowan. So thank you, guys. Also joining us are forever Giants, 2 pitchers, 2 terrific pitchers and even better human beings. These are guys that you would sit in the car and drive cross country. That's Dave Dravecki and Noah Lowry. We would also like to recognize our colleagues, Erwin Higueras and Tito Fuentes from Spanish Radio, and John Miller and Dave Fleming, guys. And also the voice of the ballpark, Rennell Brooks Moon. Where's Rennell? And now I would like to invite to speak a longtime colleague and friend of Peter Magowan. Here's Larry Baer.
Thanks, Kai. Great to see everybody today. You know, people don't wear neckties much anymore, but Peter loved wearing neckties and orange neckties. I don't have a pink shirt on, Debbie. Sorry about that. I know pink on Saturday and Sunday. And also cufflinks. Peter loved wearing cufflinks, so trying to channel Peter a little bit today. I'll tell a little story. One day, shortly after we opened the ballpark, my friend, partner, mentor, Peter, quasi-family member, walked into my office and said, "Hey, Larry, what do you think about an area in the new ballpark?" And the park, I think, was about a year old at that point. What about an area of the ballpark to honor great San Francisco Giants? And I said, absolutely. We're going to get to work on that. Absolutely. And he said, okay, well, here's a start. And he took out a 5-page, as Peter was wont to do, 5-page, single-spaced, handwritten, yellow legal pad series of notes, carefully outlining who would qualify, under what criteria, and who wouldn't, and what this would look like. Turns out that he had been assembling this dossier for about 5 months. That was what became the Giants Wall of Fame. It was brilliant in its simplicity. His criteria was the following, as Kipe mentioned. 9 consecutive years a Giant, or 5 years with 1 All-Star appearance. And Peter was very childlike in demonstrating his love for the word, for the 9-year criteria. He says that, 9 is a really good baseball number. There are 9 innings in a game. There are 9 players on the field. Oh, by the way, some of my favorite Giants just tucked in under the 9-year mark to qualify. So who was to argue with this? It's just an example of Peter's enduring and endearing qualities as a person, as a business executive, whether the way he behaved with family and friends, or the way he ran Safeway or the Giants, his thoughtfulness, his passion, and his deep-seated love. The Wall of Fame was really Peter's ultimate passion project. Saving the team and building the ballpark were our 24/7 missions, but the Wall of Fame really, he saved a slice of his heart for this project. And his goal was to celebrate players that may not have Hall of Fame numbers or All-Star numbers even, but to honor those players who made a lasting impact on our fans. He was always thinking about the fans, through their on-field performance, through their longevity, or through their work in the community. One of the great things about Peter that I remember is, let's get a lot done. Let's make a lot of decisions. It's better to make 100 decisions a week and get them 87% right than make 5 decisions a week and get them 100% right. Well, Peter, you got the Wall of Fame 100% right. It's just it's wonderful to see. Sometimes on non-game days, I'll stroll along King Street and see people looking at the tributes to our forever Giants. Many are here today, as Kipe and Krug mentioned. And when you do that, you're taken back to a point in time where you're thinking about a walk-off, a perfect game, a World Series championship, or maybe just a wonderful Saturday afternoon with your family at the ballpark. That's what this game is about. That's what Peter always felt, that it's shared experiences, connecting family with one another around the game of baseball. Peter got another thing 100% right, the way he conducted himself as a person. The love Peter showed for Debbie and his family every day. The love he showed for his Giants colleagues and friends in the front office. And the love he showed to his friends that are now living on this wall. That love, Peter, that you demonstrated seeps through your likeness on this plaque, which we're about to see, and spreads throughout our ballpark and throughout our community. He carried that Wall of Fame passion so meticulously noted in the 5-page handwritten dossier. He carried that into his relationships as well, which is what I will remember most about Peter. So after today, you'll have a chance to visit Peter's plaque on the wall and remember that all he's given to us, including these dozens of additional plaques. Can there be a more fitting tribute to Peter? I miss Peter every day. I'm so proud to have had Peter as a mentor, partner, and close friend. And may future generations love and appreciate Peter Magowan and his spirit the way we all do here today. Thank you.
All right, now we have some words from, from a couple of guys that Peter Magowan was very fond of. First, here's left-hander Sean Estes.
A couple guys snuck in that I want to introduce. Robbie Thompson is here today. RT, where are you? And Ellis Burks. Where's Ellie? I saw him. There he is, right in the back. What's up, buddy? Debbie, this is as close to pink as I had in the word. Is it okay? Brevity hasn't always been my strong suit, so I've been reminded more than once to keep this quick today. So I'm going to read fast. I had a lot to say about Peter in this event. It was July 2010, a year that coincidentally it would be the first championship in Giant history, and one that may never have happened had it not been for the man we are here today to honor. He stepped up, he saved the Giants while a lot of others sat on the sidelines. I stood up here that day in July with an opportunity to bring closure to my career and witness the unveiling of a plaque of myself on this great wall of Forever Giants. During that speech, I remember Peter sitting behind me and could only think of how proud he had to be at not only building the best ballpark in baseball, but now creating a legacy of past and future Giants that would be on display long after we're all gone. I thanked him that day for establishing the criteria that allowed me to be part of this awesome place of exhibition. Outside of all the Hall of Famers, it's extremely rare to be able to finish a career in any sport and be recognized at all for what you did as an athlete. You usually ride off into the sunset and have just your memories and stories to enjoy. But Peter allowed Giants such as myself to be on display in a place that was not just classy, but very observable to everyone who walked the sidewalks of King Street. Peter treated his Giant family like his own. He and Debbie made me feel at home in a city that wasn't my own. They invited me into their Pack Heights home, took me out to dinner from time to time, and introduced me to their children and grandchildren. And on a road trip to New York to play the Mets, I even got to receive a tour of Peter's childhood home where he grew up on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. Because of Peter's vision, this ballpark will stand the test of time, much like a Fenway Park or Wrigley Field. So it's only fitting that the mastermind of this great wall receive his own plaque in recognition of what he meant to the Giant organization and to players like myself. Peter was the best. He'll be missed, and we can now pay our respects to him whenever we want with a short pause on the sidewalks of King Street. Thank you, and go Giants.
All right, the next gentleman also had a little bit to do with the legacy of this ballpark. And here's maybe the greatest left-handed hitter I've ever seen. Here's Barry Bonds.
Y'all need to stop saying maybe and just say is, please, because I'm tired of all that. So let's just get it real. You want to keep it real, Debbie? Thank you. I love you, Mike. I think, Mike, Sean's my man. I love him to death. But Debbie, I love you. I'm so proud of your family, and most of all, proud of Peter. Mike, you said it best. Vision. I go back a little bit further than just here, because when I was growing up, we weren't supposed to come in this neighborhood. It wasn't the best of neighborhood when I was told as a kid, and it starts with a vision. And Peter saved the team with a group of owners, and he had this vision. As a little boy, loved baseball. As me, I loved baseball and I played it. Peter had a vision, and I'm going to own a team. I'm going to put a group together and put a team together. And he saved San Francisco. He saved an organization going to Tampa. None of us that grew up here could ever see our Giants going to Tampa. So I thank Peter. I thank his family. I thank them all the time for that. And then he had another vision of taking us out of Candlestick Park and a vision of bringing us into downtown San Francisco. Now let's go back to Peter's childhood and think about this kid, New York kid growing up on a train, watching baseball games, Yankees, I remember sitting with Peter talking about Babe Ruth and Ted Williams and back in the days how much he loves the sport of baseball. And if you guys look around, and I know my fellow people here in San Francisco, all of us that grew up here, if we look around here, he created more than just this ballpark with his vision. He changed China Basin. He changed China Basin because if you look around, none of this really exists, and it started with this ballpark being built right here. When this ballpark was built here, there was maybe a building or one. If you look around here now, we have Chase Center being built for the Warriors. We have Safeway, Barry's boot camp, but it's not mine. Wish it was, but it's not mine. You know, this honor of being up here for Peter is just one little part of, to me, of what Peter Magowan means to this city and this community, and what he's done for this community here and the entire group. Because it took his vision and a group of people to ride along with him to create what all of us have here, living around such a beautiful ballpark. Apartments, jobs. There's a lot to Peter Magowan than just Oracle Ballpark. And I'm proud to play for such a wonderful man and be a friend of such a great family. And thank you, Peter. And I know this community in San Francisco also thanks you because you created more than just his ballpark. Thanks.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are we doing? Oh, okay. Oh, test.
Hello. Hello.
Testing, testing. Okay, we got action.
Okay.
How's everybody's ears, by the way? All right, well, right now, this is the part where I've been waiting for, why we came here, to honor our friend and all of our mentor, and for the unveiling, to, as you see behind me, to represent their father and grandfather, I'd like to ask Matthew and Alexander to come on up and join Larry and Barry to unveil the plaque.
So here, I'm going to turn this for you.
All right, we ready to go? Everybody, we want you to count it down. And when I say go, we're going to start counting it down from 3, all right? Everybody ready? All right, let's go. 3, 2, 1. They nailed it.
Yeah, they did.
It's a good one. All right, while we're all up here, there's one way we're going to close this little ceremony out, and it's a very special one, and it means a lot to us here in the Giants organization. Because one of the greatest gifts that the game of baseball has given the country is a simple song. And if it wasn't for Peter Magowan, that simple song would no longer have been sung here in San Francisco. So if you wouldn't mind all standing up, I want you to sing loud, and I want you to sing so Peter can hear you. We're going to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. One loud time for Peter. 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's root for the Giants. If they don't win, it's a shame.
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Peter, one more time.
Hello. When are you going to get rid of that thing? Sympathy stuff. Now 3 more weeks.
What did you say? How many?
3 more weeks.
guys got it?
Yeah.
All right. You guys, thank you.
Well written.
Nailed it. And he nailed it.
Yes, he did.
He did.